meeting, and present, we expect Ms. Anderson momentarily. Otherwise, we have our required quorum. I have a couple of items on the agenda. The first is the consideration of minutes for the April 7, 2022 meeting, the York Township case, the April 14, 2022 approval of the minutes for the this case, the Yana Our Family Pet Sitting public hearing, and then the April 28th minutes for the New Wave Car Wash. So is there a motion on those minutes?
I move to approve as presented.
I second that. Motion done by Mr. Ketter, seconded by Mr. Schultz. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, I'm gonna just delay a moment on the substantive case and cover no old business items on the agenda. Past that, I see no new business items on the agenda. And I wonder if there's any public comment. If there's no public comment, well, that doesn't take too much time. So, any remarks about Cinco de Mayo, or shall we start our case up? I wanted to delay to give Ms. Anderson an opportunity.
Mr. Castle, can you move the microphone a little closer?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's take for consideration Z22 quadruple 016, the Yana Our Family Pet Sitting LLC. This is a request to amend an existing conditional use for a planned development to continue as a single family home with dog kennel training and dog daycare facility, including grooming services and pet supply shop, and to include, number one, conditional use to increase to total permitted dogs allowed on the property at any one time from 50 to 125 dogs. Number two, conditional use for a foster care and adoption facility for local rescues. And number three, conditional use to host vaccination clinics. So let me just, are these three additional conditional uses? I'm unclear about this. I understand we have a conditional use for a PUD for the dog kennel, etc. But are these treated at 1, 2, and 3? Are those exceptions, or are they somehow characterized properly as additional conditional uses? Who wants to treat that?
So these are all in theory rolled into one conditional use. They're proper conditional uses, but in theory they're itemized conditional uses to be crystal clear about the operations that are going on the property.
All right. Okay. So we need a motion to begin debate and discussion. So is there a motion on this case?
Also move to go ahead with it, except the amount of dogs we agreed at 100 is what was stated at the meeting. The attorney said.
Okay, so Mr. Murphy makes a motion to approve subject to the conditions set forth in the staff report.
Well, staff report says 125, but in the minutes it said that they would agree to 100.
I thought the staff report says 104. Yeah, the staff report says 100.
I'll second it so we can open up the debate.
All right, motion made by Mr. Murphy, seconded by Mr. Ketter. Let's start our discussion. Who wants to start?
Well, my problem with this is.
Can you use the microphone?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, we need to put some type of
I guess, an additional condition or exception till the construction's not done, till the construction is done, that they don't go to this number because the present facility will not hold it. And then I guess that would delay the 5-year conditional use running in that, but that's my major concern is that there is development that needs to be done on the property. So I don't know if I'm the only one, if there's gonna be some input.
No, I agree with that point. It's clear in the testimony at the public hearing. Mr. Haas, any comment on how we accomplish this?
Well, this is a zoning ordinance that is tied, this would give entitlement so that the property owner can proceed to the next step in the development process, which would be applying for building permits. So they would not be able to enjoy the entitlement until everything is completed, including getting a building permit and occupancy to be able to occupy. So it would be handled through the building permit process.
So we customarily do a sort of a belt and suspenders approach to put such things as developed in accordance with all other codes. Well, obviously, we don't need that condition because the codes are already the codes, similar to the point that you just made. So I favor adding that condition so that it's clear. And the way that I would do it is to make some modification to condition 2 related to 5-year expiration from the date of approval of the subject zoning relief, but the relief with respect to the number of dogs shall not commence until occupancy permits complete the completion of construction as shown on the site plan.
That would go with 2 and 4, now, wouldn't it? With 4, it seems like if you don't put a proviso on, but jump to 100 on passage.
So it's, well, we can put it in both places.
I mean, to develop and suspender, you can put it in both places, but this ordinance is not, while it's effective when the county board passes it, they still have to meet the terms and the conditions. And in order to have the 100 dogs, they have to meet the rest of the terms and conditions. But to make it crystal clear, you could add, not until occupancy is let for the use.
Perfect. All right. Then I had, with respect to condition number 4, the testimony at the hearing was they would agree to 100, including puppies, which are not otherwise included by the way the ordinance typically counts these animals.
That's correct. Just so we're clear, in the county ordinance, we treat domesticated animals as dogs and cats. You're limited to 4. That's not what we're talking about here, but in that same statutory provision, we have a provision that says does not include any animals up to 4 years of age. I'm sorry, up to 4 months of age.
Right, and that is not strictly applicable to this point in this request and this conditional use request of 100. But again, for the sake of clarity, can we follow the testimony at the hearing so that we've got the including puppies language?
Absolutely, yeah.
Or including animals under 4 months? Or
Under 4 months, yeah. I think that would be a good way to clear it up because we do have the 4-month regulation generally in the ordinance. So that would make it crystal clear to anybody who's reading this ordinance and the county code.
And then with respect to number 7, the condition is that operations open to the public shall not occur between the hours of 6 and 7. It's slightly different than no public visitors outside those hours. You think the language that we have here is satisfactory? I guess I know what's intended. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
Just talking from 6 o'clock at night till 7 in the morning, so no visitors can come in, so.
It doesn't say no visitors. It says no public operations or no public, the operations open to the public shall not occur, but it doesn't say no visitors.
Put the visitors in there. Right.
The owners could be here, but employees.
Can you speak louder, please?
I don't know, what is it, Paul? I took it to mean that other than the owner or employees, nobody else.
The operative term in this sentence is operations. There will be operations that occur on the property after 6 o'clock. That'll be letting the dogs out and things like that. So that really what this is intended to do is make sure that there can still be operations, but there can be no general public coming to the property after that. And maybe there needs to be another, maybe we need to bifurcate this condition to say something to the effect that, no general public can come to the property after these hours, but that operations can occur after these hours. Operations by on-site staff only.
Great.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that's exactly the point that I was fussing about. So how should we accomplish this? Can you revise the wording and circulate by email prior to this case go to the development committee?
Yes.
Great. And let's go to the prior ordinance, which was 2010 or something. And can we just get an update? Can I ask for an update from the staff on the various conditions that were included in the earlier relief and the current relief, and see how they square with one another? And I'm not interested in all of them, but rather
Just real quickly, all of the conditions that were in the previous relief are embodied in the current relief. The only difference is where the current operation is more restrictive than the conditions of the previous relief. You see in these conditions the more restrictive relief. Does that make sense? I mean, I know that's
well, yeah,
brought over.
right. I'm unclear about it because the old ordinance says facility shall be operated as follows. Number of dogs allowed in one training class shall not exceed 10. The number of dogs allowed for boarding at any one time shall not exceed 30. That was the testimony, I guess, not the conditions. So those numbers are changed by virtue of this new request. Oh, yeah, okay. And the training sessions were limited to 2 days a week. How do we stand with? Maybe can we have the petitioner sworn in and maybe just bring us up to date on why we should not include all of the details of these earlier conditions? Yeah, whichever one of you wants to speak, or both of you if you like. Both.
Would you raise your right hand, please? You do solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give this cause and out here will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. All right, let's start with number of dogs allowed in any one training class shall not exceed 10 dogs per session. Is that realistic?
Yes,
So we can include that as well?
yes,
Number of dogs allowed for boarding overnight at any one time shall not exceed 30.
What we're asking for is the 100 number.
Okay. So that's out. Where are you?
4 feet. For daycare.
Oh, well, number of, old condition was number of dogs allowed in the daycare operation at any one time shall not exceed 20.
So our intent was the 100 number would never be exceeded regardless of daycare boarding, so in totality. Okay. And that number could shift, but as long as the total number of pups on the property did not exceed 100.
Okay. Then hours of operation were 6 to 9:30. That's revised. Dog daycare hours shall be from 6 to 6. We don't have that detail this week.
I think there's a line in there that talks about the facility being open to the public is what we intend there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So operations for,
Excuse me, just a second. Okay,
So 5, 6, and 7 generally cover that.
and then weekday training sessions shall be limited to no more than 2 days per week and shall occur no earlier than 6 to 8:30. So forget the hours because that's treated. But 2 days a week for training sessions? Is that your practice or will that be your practice?
we would like the ability to be flexible on the training, to be more than just 2 days a week.
How many days? 5?
That's acceptable, yes?
I'm not trying to bargain with you. I just
No,
wanna know
I'm
what-
saying 5 would be fine. That would
Right,
be
let's-
acceptable.
Can we add that as well? Let's keep the score here. And then the weekday training session shall be limited, weekday sessions no more than 2 per day and shall occur no earlier, let's forget the hours here. Is there any reason to have weekday training sessions limited to no more than 2 per day?
I don't see a reason to limit that. Yeah, I mean, the 2 a day is fine. I think that's acceptable, yes.
Okay, so we've added 3 items. All right, can we recess? Let's take further discussion. Is there any further discussion?
I guess one thing, just looking at the plan, it talks about the goals, and it looks like you're widening the driveway.
Can you speak into the microphone, please? Sorry.
Sure. Just looking at the updated plat, it looks like we have a widening drive and then also a stop sign at that. I'm not clear if they have to put that in since it says proposed on the plat. But according to testimony, they agreed to do those things, and that seems to me to satisfy some of the LaSalle standards a little bit better, so I'd like to see those included.
Let's, let me take this back. You reminded me, we do have a revised petitioner's exhibit number 2, which is the revised site plan showing both of these points. So the condition that says it'll be operated pursuant to the new site plan would encompass that.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. All right. So are there any other general comments? All right. As an accommodation, Ms. Anderson has had a transportation difficulty here, but she says that she is walking here from the Wheaton train station, which is a lot closer than the Itasca train station. But I'd like to recess for a few minutes and give her just as an accommodation, give her an option. Number 2 is the partly torn in and clarified that as we compare the old conditions of the old ordinance from 2010, I think it is, we're adding number of dogs allowed in any one training session shall not exceed 10 dogs per session. weekday training sessions shall be limited to no more than 2 training sessions per day. And weekend training sessions shall be limited to no more than 2 per day and the time limits are included. Did I miss anything? Okay, I guess that's all we did. Now, motion is on the floor, subject to the various conditions. The conditions have been revised pursuant to our discussion. So I need the maker of the motion and the person that seconded it to concur on the record with the revisions to the conditions. That was Mr. Murphy, as I recall.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy indicates he agrees, and who
I
was
agree.
the second? Mr. Ketter. Mr. Ketter indicates agreement. Is there any other discussion on this case? Then I think we're ready to call the roll. So could you call the roll?
Member Murphy,
Yes.
Member Cutter,
Yes.
Member Anderson. Aye. Member Schultz.
Aye.
Member Moran.
Aye.
Chairman Carpel.
Aye. The vote is 6 in favor and none opposed. And we'll proceed to the County Development Committee with a favorable recommendation in that regard. So that's it. I've already called the other items on the agenda. So I think we're ready to adjourn. I declare that we are adjourned. Good luck with your project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much.
Right.